The general architecture of Oracle Database consists of a number of things. Basically, going through them quickly: buffers, processes, files, and networking. Buffers are basically a bunch of sections of memory that are allocated to Oracle for different types of functions, and those buffers are stored in RAM. So what you're actually doing is you're trying to put the most recently used or the most frequently used data into a section of memory called RAM as opposed to on disk, because it's much faster for the CPU to access RAM than it is to access disk. That's what the buffers are for. The processors are all the little programs that run in background that do everything inside Oracle that you don't know anything about when you're working with it. If you were to look in Windows and you look in the Services panel, you'd see a bunch of Oracle processors. On a Linux box, you can do a ps-ef grep command and see a bunch of Oracle processors. I'll show you those later on. Files are essentially data files which store all the data, the log files which store log entries, the archive logs or the archive log files which store copies of redo logs once they've been recycled, the control files which contain pointers to all the other files and link them all together, and then various configuration files such as TNS networking files, parameter files, and so on. And obviously your networking, which is essentially the connection from the client to a server, across servers, across networks, using a specialized type of Oracle networking gateway type software that allows you to talk from a client machine to a listener running on a database server. In older versions of Oracle, the memory layer is divided up into a number of different chunks. And as you can see, it's fairly obvious what they are. The first one is the database buffers, which is all the data. Then the redo log buffer, which is related to the redo log files. A sort buffer, which is for sorting, which is actually stored in a memory area called the PGA, or Program Global Area. And then the shared pool. The shared pool is a very highly shareable section of memory for things that are highly used constantly, such as the definitions of tables as opposed to the data in the tables that would be stored in the data buffers. This is way back in Oracle 8i and Oracle 9i. What's actually happened now is that the first thing that changed was that SGA and PGA became automated, and then you had those two SGA and PGA buffers were actually merged into a single buffer. Effectively, they're not merged into single buffers, they're just managed by single parameters. We'll go through that in detail later on. The next part of the Oracle architecture is the process layer. It's all these little things down here. The database writer process, or processes, is the thing that, or the process, the program running in memory in background, that Oracle uses to write information or changes to the data files. The log writer obviously writes the log entries from the log buffer to the redo log files. The archiver makes copies of redo log files and copies them onto archive log files. PMON and SMON and numerous other processes manage the background processing in Oracle. The Oracle instance is known as the Oracle instance, is an instantiation or an instance of the Oracle database running on a server. It's made up of the memory buffers and the process layer running together. Then you take the processes and the memory and you add them to all the data files and you end up with an Oracle database, which communicates across the network.